Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dad's Our Job, the original footballing podcast for dads, by dads, and exclusively for West Ham fans out there. Well, haven't we got a whopper tonight? I'm really excited about this one. I've been talking to this guy for quite a while now, and obviously, when talking about something quite passionate about is football kits, and what with West Ham's football kits over the past 10 years, been mostly produced by Umbro. Who better than to get an ex-Umbro kit designer on board? So please give it up a warm welcome to Bradley Edwards. Bradley, how are we doing, mate? We're all right?
Good evening. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. As I said off air, I've had a few technical difficulties in terms of power cuts in rural Essex, and but we're all back and live now, so it's all good. It's all good. So, how's things with you in your neck of the woods?
Good, yeah. Enjoying the weather. Soon going grey again now, though. But yeah, everything's been good. Thank you. Yeah, really good.
Brilliant. And just for our audience, just let us know whereabouts you're from, how you got into kit design, who you support, so we can also talk. I know who you support, but the viewers don't know. So please just enlighten us. Introduce yourself, mate.
Probably about who I was part of it, but no, I've loved designing kits since primary school. Always done it. It was either becoming a teacher. Well, it was originally a firefighter, but then asthma said, "You ain't doing that." And then it was a teacher. But then the design side of things, just scribbling kits in the back of my maths books, and then someone says, you can actually do that, and it could become a profession. And I was like, wow, let's push that. So did graphic design for uni for everything, and was very lucky that I got given the opportunity to do it by O'Neill Sportswear originally.
Yeah,
working on rugby kits, and then went into Fanatics and did a lot of the American sports, NHL and MLB. Big hockey fan myself, ice hockey fan, so that was unbelievable.
Who's your ice hockey team?
Calgary Flames.
Oh, Calgary Flames. Oh, Colorado Avalanche. I don't know why, but just them.
Cool colours, cool kit. I think there's
claret and blue, obviously, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say there's a connection. Well, my hockey team, I say Calgary, they're playing in red, don't they? Whereas my football team, which is a nice introduction to that, I'm an Evertonian, so that's why I'm very grey.
That's it. And we were texting last Sunday, weren't we, hoping that your team can and David Moyes can do us a favour. But unfortunately, destiny played its part, didn't it? So yeah.
Well, we let a lot of people down, including ourselves. I think last weekend we didn't show up. We've not been great for quite a few weeks now, and we could probably spend a full podcast talking about Everton and the problems we've had. There's so many.
We could touch on it. Like, how do you feel? Obviously, we've had 2 spells with David Moyes, and now this is your second spell with David Moyes. I mean, how are you feeling now that he's kind of settled in? I think it's his second season, isn't it, at Everton now?
Yeah. So the first stint, 11 years, unbelievable. The players he brought in, he brought us Cahill, he brought us Arteta, Pienaar. That squad we got into Champions League. It was just, exciting football. So the first time round, brilliant. And there's only ever been Ancelotti since then that I could say was a different level. Lampard was good, and he was good with the fans, but as far as being like a manager and making them kind of decisions, and with Ancelotti having that pull of bringing certain players in, it's always a what if. If we had a couple of seasons with him and the national team didn't come calling, then it was Madrid, wasn't it? Yeah, so who knows? But with Moisey, we love him. Everton fans love him. But when you're seeing the club across the park from us making decisions early now, bringing in somebody who can have a full pre-season at it and build for what they want their football team to like next season, then it's hard to say it, but I'd like us to do that. I'd like us to have a bit of ambition and drive, because with Moisey, the problem is there just doesn't seem to be a plan B. When games aren't going your way, and you can see the certain parts of the park that you're getting outrun, or if they're doing certain things that you just can't stop happening, he doesn't really have a plan. And I don't know if that was similar with you guys, but it just seems like, well, he's going to make his changes on 70 odd minutes, and that'll be it, really. It'll be like, well, and they're never really, it's not his fault, he's not got the best bench to look at, but the changes just don't really inspire, you know what I mean? And if you can look at the squad that we've got, it's not a great squad on me, but, you know, there's the odd player in there, and, you know, okay, getting Grealish in at the beginning of the season, that was showing ambition, that was a great signing, but
unfortunately, injury played its part, didn't it?
Oh yeah, for it to lose him, so like, you know what I mean, it was a proper shame. But even when he was playing, the problem was, put Grealish in a City team, opponents are looking at 10 outfield players to worry about. So they're always looking at who can cause them trouble. Whereas put Grealish in the Everton squad, excuse me, there's only 2 or 3 players where you're looking at going who are going to cause a bit of damage. So they're doubling up on him, and they you know, just smothering him. So you can't get him to play the way he wants to play, and that's probably why Jimmy Garner had such a good season for us, because he probably got a bit more of the ball and was able to be a bit more creative with it. But it's not
I suppose it's
therapy.
maybe when we get promoted next season, we'll have an Everton / West Ham collab. That's if you don't get relegated next season.
If we stick with the way we are now, then I think
we'll be waving at each other on the way up and on the way down, won't we? So
yeah, I agree.
Right, so let's get on with it. Right, so first question. Obviously, how did you get into football kit design? Obviously, we now know that you was doing it. Like, you was sketching in the back of your book at primary school and secondary school, and then you went to do graphic design at university. But what led you to working on the West Ham kits at Umbro? Like, how did you progress into that position to have such responsibility for such a big football club?
A massive football club. And when I was at Fanatics, you know, working on the ice hockey and the baseball, working closely with them leagues, it was fantastic for me, because, you know, you work in American leagues, absolutely huge audience, working on like Stanley Cup winning ranges. He went out to China and did the China games, and it was unbelievable. And there was nothing that you could, you know, I'd think would want to change that. But then when the Umbro opportunity came up, I seen it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to apply for it, see what happens. And with Umbro, because obviously being an Everton fan, I've grown up wearing it. So for the last 20 odd years, that was the kit supplier that I knew. You know, all my heroes growing up were all wearing Umbro, and, you know, we won the Cup in '95 in Umbro kit, and you know, it's so it's a household brand. It's like you know what I mean, it's a brand that I've always been close to and had a kind of a connection to, and it's just a fantastic brand. It is the football brand, isn't it? You know, you look at the classics like the Brazil kits and all, the England kits. They're always been Umbro kits, the proper classics when you look at them. So they gave me they took me on board as a designer, and it was straight into it, and it was great, because what I love doing with design is trying to tell stories and give them a real reason, and that's what Umbro do so well. They'll take kits and they'll have a reason to it, and they'll tell a story, and they'll connect it to the fans. So it was working really well together. And then, because I didn't start as a design manager there, I started as a designer and then kind of worked my way up into the design manager role. And each season you'd have like the 7 core teams that you'd work on, but then as a team you'd work on together. And then when the opportunity came up, we'd always have the discussion saying, like, oh, is there any particular teams that people want to get at this season? Like, whatever reason it might be, like, if you one team, someone's dad might support them, it might be like, all right, that's a really cool reason to want to do it. Imagine designing the kit and showing it. And for me, West Ham, it's massive club, Premier League club, iconic club. It's when you look at the league, there's 4 or 5 clubs that you think they represent English football, don't they, in the way we are. So massive opportunity and a challenge as well, because it's claret and blue. It's that the 2 colours that you're working with. There's not loads you can do with it. There's obviously the heritage you can dip into and the different ways of doing it. And I think there's always been a rule with home and when you're third, you always try to have one being a graphic kit, one having like a real storytelling kit, which has become over the last probably 10 years the more youthful one, where you can do a bit more with the colours and a bit more fun. Then one will be always your traditional kind of fabric place, like a really nice fabric. And what does that look like? Is like you'd wear it with jeans, that kind of read down the pub, and it's all going out if you don't drink. You have to tick all the boxes. It's the smart casual one that you could wear day to day. And the one in between is normally a seasonal read, so like a cut and sew, so they're paneling in there and using colour pops. And you might use them panels to put a graphic in, which through the seasons we have done with West Ham. So
yeah. And most famously the splash of orange on the Conference League final kit. I mean, I think when a lot of fans saw that, they were like, "What the hell is that?"
You know what? I can't claim that kit. I can't claim that one. That's not one of mine. A super designer called Alex Walter did that one. But the brief was, like striking the iron while it's hot, and the sparks and flames. And I was, he sat next to me, and I was a big part of seeing that come to life and the different stages it went through.
Yeah.
And there was other, that was a white base kit, but when it was, finally done, but there was darker base kits. So, probably a bit of a what if, and but I agree, it was they call it like a mustard kit, don't they? Where it had a mixed reaction.
Yeah, I mean, and the way, and it wasn't worn for its intention, was it really? Like in terms of the combination, because when you look at it in the Premier League, it was a white shirt with the orange fade with the striking of the embers, but then it was orange shorts and socks. In the Conference League final, it was all white, and that's where it kind of like it became more iconic because it wasn't the combination that we used that it was purposely for. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the most iconic kits now in West Ham history, and like it's almost like one of them happy mistakes sort of thing, really. And now the fans have kind of adopted it as a kind of heritage kit now because it is so significant. It's my first trophy in 40 years. So to see that kit associated with that, it does bring back special memories and feelings now. So
yeah, and it brought in as well, about it was just Rice's last season, wasn't it? So
yeah,
there's so many things connected to that kit where it's a special one, and it's good that you mentioned the shorts because designing kits, the shorts play a big part in it because you want to always look if they can rotate. So in your home 1v1 with the away one or the third one, and for occasions like that where it could clash.
Yeah.
So it's
so with that, it's almost like the kit is supposed to be blending from top to toe, isn't it? But then when you have to have the combination of the white shorts, it breaks the shirt off for like a clean cut at the bottom, doesn't it? So it kind of like it kind of discombobulates you a little bit, but because it's not. Again, it's almost like it's not designed that way on purpose. But no, we get it. Like we've adopted it now, and orange is now a pretty much a favourite colour now of modern West Ham United. But for supporters who don't know the process, like how does the football kit go from an initial concept to so it ends up on the rails up behind you? Like how does that process work?
Good question. It starts with just a imagination, really. You want to look at the club, the fans, heritage, the history, the area, and you try and become almost one of them. You kind of delve into it. You want it to look like, everything about that. Because there's been so many kits before.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a great thing like an archive to look into, but you can't be too similar because it doesn't become new and fresh and exciting. Because something I always say about a football kit is that you have to remember is this is going to be someone's first ever kit. You know what I mean? It could be the last ever kit as well. It could be, it's such a big responsibility to bring this to life for a club. So what I'll always do is I'll really delve into it and I'll want to tell stories. And when we have that initial meeting with the club, the club were always fantastic as well. When we went down there, they always, in the stadium, they look after us. They know we travelled down from Manchester. There'd be food on, just really warm, welcoming people. Your retail team were there and stuff, and even the kit man was involved at some point. I've got a funny story I'll tell you about the kit man actually. But all these people are involved because they see it for a different reason. So your retailer looking at it going, can I sell it? Do you know what I mean? Your commercials are looking at it saying in the marketing to the fans, is this going to connect the fans then your kit man doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to know the player's going to be happy.
Mm.
And will he get all his kit on time? And if it's, sometimes the white kits, how it'll wash and certain things like that, there's a bit more the rugby audience where that was a factor to play with, working with England rugby and that. But
yeah,
it's all these little things that do kind of add up. But, once you've got your stories and you kind of bring a bit of a design deck together, you present it to the club, and you get all these people in a room because they've all got their own kind of ideas for it and stuff. And you present it in, and you probably do 2-3 rounds of doing this, where the first round, like these ideas, let's push that, develop it. The second round, what are the colours now going to be? Or does this one look better as an away kit? Or does that work better as the third kit? But there'll always be a seasonal direction as well. So with Umbro, before any kind of kit's designed, we will start with seasonal direction where it'll have a story that we try to, as a brand read, we try to implement that into every club. So you'll see like a style throughout every club where it might be the silhouettes used or the necklines used or even a graphic read, which I have actually got some samples of that could kind of talk into that. So
yeah, go for it.
This piece you'll recognise from, let's have a look. The away
That's
front.
the away kit. I want to say that kit reminds me of getting beat at Frankfurt, because that was the away kit we lost. Cresswell got sent off in. Yeah,
happy memories. This kit.
Many happy memories. I'm trying to think of. Declan Rice's goal in Zagreb. There you go.
So, there you go.
And most notably, no banned block on that because betting sponsors were banned in Croatia. So that shirt that you got there had an unbroken stripe line, which works really well on that kit. But when you put the Betway on, which we'll discuss later, how compromising it was on that kit. But go on, proceed. Sorry.
No, you're right, and it's good that you mentioned Betway because that would be the biggest thing that any designer, whoever works on West Ham kits with Betway involved, will mention how much of we're after 9 o'clock, so I won't swear, but a challenge it was. So there's
no watershed on here, mate. You can go as blue as you like.
So for this one, the season direction was about like a linear line. So how that was kind of within the stripe, that kind of lineation. You'll see that design, and the trick is to use it across the different clubs in that season, with it looking totally different, but still having that linear story. So this was just that one season story. So Luton away.
Yeah.
When you start to see it, you start to realise. And even doing it differently, I did it for the whole home shirt, which was quite a nice, not controversial, but it was a nice change because it wasn't a traditional Hull, stripes. But you see elements of it creeping into there.
Yeah.
So 3 totally different kits, totally different reads, still having a club personal story to them and a reason, but without seasonal story in there. And the most recent one, the Umbro Centenary season, 100 years, last season, where for you boys, we had the white with the gold trim and the really nice kind of matte shine fabric with the diamonds kind of cut into it. So about 100 years. Mm-hmm. Every club had one, similar. Outside one. So Huddersfield had elements of the stadium in there. Ipswich had one, elements of the fans, their ground. So even the England,
Bournemouth had one, didn't they? Because they had the beach and the shells and the waves and stuff. It was all integrated with it when it was like that blue with purple or blackcurrant detailing on it, and that was quite nice. Yeah.
Well, the Bournemouth one, designer called Hugo did that, and that was when we had them all lined up in the showroom. That was my favorite one out of all because just the graphic on it, the story behind it, the color combination, it just all works so well. I was gutted I didn't design that one. and I told them I wish I did that one because that would have been great, to have as a. But
with the West Ham one, it was white. It was white with the claret and then the gold trim. Now there's a rumor doing around on West Ham forums and stuff that the gold introduction was a nod to the Gold family. Is that correct? Or was that just you used gold because you thought it would be quite nice?
It's one of them that kind of afterwards, I think, would be added into it. But the claret and gold work really well together on a white base shirt. So, to have a pop colour, because it's a very predominantly white kit, and obviously the fabric play in there, that really nice matte shine fabric, which you don't always see on pitch. So to have the pops of colour, give it that, that kind of visual appeal to it from the stands. It's only when you get closer to it, you see the texture in there, but claret and gold works so well together. There was versions of that where it was the claret and the cerulean, the blue.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure, I think the club were the ones who wanted the gold in there, and it was a great shout because, that was the last kit we did for that season. And it was, it was really strong, I felt.
Yeah, that was the last from my understanding. What's that?
I think you beat us in it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not too sure. No, but I think that particular season, that was kind of like the last real season with Umbro in terms of the catering with the design, because obviously they'd been acquired by Castor, and then there was that year option. Could you delve into that a bit in some more detail? Because again, like, people are still confused at the way that obviously the kit deal was supposed to expire last summer, but then we had the additional deal. I mean, could you delve into how that come about in terms of that optional year was activated?
I don't know too much about that, to be honest. I know that when Castor took over the license for doing the Umbro kits, obviously that's when I was made redundant and left Umbro because there was no need for a design team there, which was heartbreaking because obviously such a design manager at a brand that I love with a fantastic team around me, and we were just coming out of the 100 years, so it was kind of, there was a bit of a bitterness towards Castor and almost a better look after them, because we worked with these teams for quite a few seasons, and when you design a kit, you're almost looking at a couple of years ahead. Like what's like, I think I might have told you that we wanted to do I call it the Julian Dix kit, which is the kind of the cream one with the navy, and I had that design straight away because that was such an iconic kit, and I was like, no, we'll save it for next year, always for next year. And then because we didn't get to do it, I was like, watch them go and do it.
and that's exactly what they did, didn't they? But it was so. And I think that's like this season's kit with Umbro. Like, this is nothing attached to you, because obviously you'd departed by then, but then it was taken under someone else. But I feel like this season's kit collection with West Ham with the Umbro logo is probably the worst we've ever had. Quite possibly, because just purely, and I think you've even touched on it in the fact that because of the way they've been manufactured, it felt like a cheap kit, make do, get on with it sort of thing, and it portrayed. When I saw that straight away, it almost felt like a relegation kit. And there's even proof of me saying that at the start of the season when we reviewed the kits initially, and it almost felt like, oh, it's just a lazy kit. It's cheaply manufactured. They're going to charge the fans 75 quid a shirt for it, and then it just didn't really have that identity with it. It was all claret. The fans love blue sleeves, because that is what we are. I mean, when we deter away from the blue, it's uproar. It's just generally uproar. So it has to be done really well. But I've just felt that this season's home kit was just probably one of the most disappointing. Like, Bowen's wearing that behind me now, up there in a painting by Canning Town Lynn. But it almost felt, do you remember Pro Evolution Soccer?
Oh yeah, that's probably yeah.
It reminded me of like the standard default kit that you get with East London. That's what it felt like. And it was so disappointing. I saw it. I thought, I'm not buying that. But I did buy the Ecru one because it was a colour that we'd never had, and there was quite nice detailing on the sleeves and the collar. But other than that, I think even like the third kit was a bit. I don't know, the hammers were too big. The use of gold shorts or yellow shorts and socks, it was just completely completely discombobulated. And I don't think we've ever won a game in that kit either. That's last season. So,
it's a tough one because obviously it's a different design team. It's a Custard design team.
Yeah.
So, they'll have their own ways of working, and I'm not going to slag off any designs or anything that I've done because
I'll do it
I
on
know
your
how
behalf, Brad. It's fine.
as a West Ham fan, you're allowed to, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's your club, that's your kit, and you know what, as a fan, you want. And I think, I touched on at the beginning that having that connection with the fans is something that is key. And I think if you don't have that and you lose that, then your kit doesn't have a reason, because okay, clubs want to sell kit, it's a great income and stuff like that, but you want that kind of real connection, that heritage piece that people look at it and go, you know what I mean, this is my first kit, I'm going to buy it for my kids, or you know what I mean, you want to have a reason to wear it. And as fans, we buy the kits either way because we want to wear it to the game, we want to show who we are, our colours and that, but you just really need to have a feel for that connection, and that's the reason to it.
Especially like that shirt behind you is your pride and joy, right?
This is my favourite one. I don't know which ones you can see. There's a few in the row, but can you just see that one?
I can only see the 65 remake one. Yeah, so we were talking about that ages ago, weren't we? In terms of like, there's even points of me taking the mickey out of you and doing 3D mock-ups just to wind you up, and you was like, shut up.
It was great though, because as a fan, you send in stuff through saying like, what about this or that. I was in my head, I was like, oh yeah, it's quite close to that actually. Oh, nope, not that one. It was quite cool to see your mindset on it. But it leads me into a really good story, this kit, because with the seasonal direction, so this is part of the centenary season for Umbro. So 100 years of the brand. The home kit story for all the clubs is really traditional. So the big thick necklines, trims, really nice fabric plays, keeping it nice and clean, not too heavy with the graphics on the home kits. So I went down to the club, and it was at the training ground. It's the first time I've been there. I've normally done all the meetings at the stadium.
Was it Rush Green or Chapelise?
Oh, I don't know which one it was. It was really nice though. It was like a big open. You go in.
That's not our training grounded.
All right. It was like
cool.
As you walked in, the canteen was like on the left, and all the lads were sat there. Moisey's office was at the back.
Yeah, probably Rush Green then. Did you go down a long drive, or was it down a road where there was that residential either side quite tight?
I think there's like a longer road.
Yeah, it was Rush Green then. Yeah, Rush Green. Yeah, sorry.
No. So I went in there, and they knew straight away I was an Everton fan. Through chatting away and stuff, and Moyes was at the time, so obviously I had that connection of him being at Everton in the past. And I just walked in there. I was going over to speak to the kit man and his assistant, just to talk to him about kit and just get a bit of an insight on it, because I've never done that before with West Ham. So it would be great to do that. Walk in there, and the full first team squad had just sat there having the brekkie, all in the canteen. And he was like, do you want a coffee? I was like, yeah, it'd be great, thanks. He was like, go get yourself one. He pointed like between every player to the coffee machine at the back, and I'm like, I'll wait, it's okay. Because I still get, I'm seeing like all these players, I still get like starstruck, and I'm like, geez, and it puts you into like a real reality when you see them all wearing the training stuff that you've been part of, and and then like, I'm always in a meeting at the moment, but I get him to come and say hello to you, and even that was like yeah, brilliant. Like, I don't know what I'd say, but you know what I mean. I've met him a few times whilst at Everton and stuff, but on this level, I wouldn't know what to say to him. But anyway, they took me through to this other room where the kit man was, big, larger than life fella, Jambo, and I don't know if he was at the beginning. I think he was just trying to wind me up, because it was him and Kevin Nolan were in there. Yeah. And Kevin Nolan, the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, you're a blue nose." So somebody had already tipped him off that was coming down and stuff. And I remember there being a box of ankle socks, just normal white training ankle socks, those of Umbro ones. And Jambo, the kit man, just said to me, he said, "Keep an eye on them, don't let anyone take any of them." And I was like, I just stood there, I was like, yeah, no problem. Kevin Nolan comes in, starts grabbing loads of them, putting them in his top, and then running off, giggling to himself. They're all falling on the floor behind, and I'm like, he's going to get me in trouble. Like, so anyway, he's just trying to wind me up in that, and cause a bit of banter and that, which was great. And Goes into the kit room, and then I sit down and he says, "What do you want?" I said, "Well, I just want to speak to you about a kit, but from a kit man's perspective and how it works with the players." He went, "White socks. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. I just want white socks." I said, "I can't do it. If I go back and try and put you guys in white socks, from the board down, it's claret. That's it, head to toe." He said, "You're wasting my time. I want white socks." And that's what the players want. So I was like, right, okay, well, why? He said, because when they're playing, and there's a bit of science behind it. So I was like, okay. And he was like, when they're playing, if they're looking down at the ball and looking, it's easier to pick out a white sock. Obviously, it's brighter against the green of the pitch. That's why balls are white, because they're just easier to see. So I was like, right, okay, so there's a reason behind it. I just thought he loved that kind of classic West Ham of, the white and the white. So anyway, I go away with that information, which was worked out to be brilliant, because I was like, right, I'm going to do it. So traveling all the way back up to Manchester. First time I'm going to tell them that's what they want, when the rule is you can't do that. It's got to be the head to toe claret. And I was like, okay. So I started researching, looking into it, and that's when it clicked that it'd be the 65 years since you won the cup.
Yeah.
In claret, white, and white.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the moment. I was like, that's the story. And that'll get me my white socks so that he's happy. So I went, did the design deck, went through it all, did all the research into it, looked at how it fits so perfectly with the 100 years of Umbro and that classic reed. The fabric's got a really nice, it's still a performance fabric, but it's got a little bit of thickness to it.
Yeah.
Just a bit of more of a texture to it. So it does feel like the old school ones, but it doesn't take away from like the breathability. Having that big neckline on there, like the classic one, the cuff stripes, it was just, it all came together so well. But the biggest challenge was obviously approval, because the crest is different as well, having that blue behind it, like the classic, like the more traditional version.
Yeah.
But the club loved it. They loved the story. They connected with it straight away. They were already obviously planning things around the anniversary. They could see straight away the fans would love it, because, if you're from that generation, you're there, you lived it, you remember them kind of iconic players. But even now, you talk about it, it's such a great, moment for the club, isn't it? So, and the iconic pictures, the lifting the trophy and that. So I went back down, and when I presented it into the kit man, he just looked at me and went, "Have you got me some white socks?" I went, "Yeah." And he gave me a big massive hug. That was it. And he's a big fella. He was like,
so the kit man's responsible for the white socks.
Yeah, so the kit man, it came from him. He triggered that whole seasonal for that home kit to become what it was. It was not like let's our anniversary, let's do that. It was, well, I want white socks. How can we make it work? But he was, he summarized, like, he the epitome of the club, like the way he was, like, so welcoming and just treating me like one of the lads straight away.
Yeah.
He showed me the boot room and everything, and took me around, and even just walking around, to some of the players, they're all just great. Shake my hands, and like, being introduced as the designer from Rose, going to design some of the kits. They were like, "Oh yeah," and they were interested in it. It was cool, and I was just like, holy, like, shit, like, what I mean, Michael Antonio. If I could go back, I would ask him not to cut the shirt though, because that's when kits go wrong.
Yeah, I mean that was a big thing, wasn't it, with Souček and Antonio, is that because they got such broad necks, and they ended up being choked by it, really, weren't they? But do you think you would take that into account on the next shirt that comes in terms of taking into account?
Yeah, and it's a good example of how certain things don't go right, because you can see it there. It's quite a thick ribbed neckline, and when you put it on a fit model, we'd always put it on fit models who obviously got the football build, and it looks great, and it doesn't like fold over or do anything. It sits really nice and clean. But then when you got someone who's an absolute unit, you know what I mean? He's big lad, and they put it on it. But it might not even like, because Souček he's not big, but if he doesn't like stuff around his neck, you're taking away that element of performance then, because if he's playing a game wearing that shirt and he's doing this and he's worried about what he can feel here and it's not comfortable, he's taking his mind from the ball and the focus off the game. And that's, a massive thing. And it's something that we looked at so much, especially with the rugby stuff as well, the upper body, the movement. It's such an upper body sport. with the football, your shoulders and your different, your setting sleeve or the regular sleeve, definitely different movements with goalkeepers, but it was never something that we considered with that neckline. So when we seen it was getting cut, 100%, anything after that, you think, right, well, it needs to have either more stretchability in it, or it has to have some kind of break where you can, do something a bit different, but it still doesn't affect any players.
Yeah, no, that's right, isn't it? So you touched on something there about the remit was that it had to be all claret. Whose instruction was that for it to be all claret?
I think it came from Karren Brady. I think that was her big thing where she wanted that, and that was always kind of like the thing from the top, and it was just things that you just didn't steer away from. It helped with, with the women's kit because you wouldn't offer the women white shorts or lighter coloured shorts.
Yeah.
So to have that part was great. And, having a full claret kit, one of the things about it is you look bigger on pitch where it's not broken up the kit. And that's, another thing that it plays on the kind of the colourways and design. But you could always alternate, like I mentioned at the beginning, where you could have your away shorts might sit well with the home if you did want to have a white away kit. And sometimes they would wear it through the season. But what you launch with and you go into to play with is that's your home kit, that's your away, and that's your third. Because then you're always looking at, they always used to use Newcastle or West Brom as examples. Can you play them in it? Because they're striped and there's a contrast. Yeah. And then the other aspect that you always have to consider is colour blindness. Colour blindness in sport is such a big thing that, we need to be aware of and make sure we produce kits that are, on pitch visual for anybody who's colourblind, because if you're that wrong, then it's not fair. You could take a kit that, if you're not colourblind, it's a bright yellow or a white. We're looking at going, well, it's very different, but on pitch, you're taking that kind of aspect of enjoying the game away from somebody, which is, it's huge. You can't do that. So
that's what frustrates me in certain kit clashes in general, is that sometimes you'll see two teams play and they've both got the same colour shorts on. And it's like,
yeah, there's enough kits in the collection and even if you do you said with the cup winning kit all white, even if you just mixed up a bit and it's odd for one game. Luton were great at doing it. Luton used to match orange with blue or blue with orange, and they just didn't care because it's serving its purpose as a kit that doesn't contrast with the opposition.
Yeah,
it might not, visually look great, but you go win that game, score a worldie in it, or do something in that kit. It's got a good reason in it. It's got a good something you remember about it. It's,
and people picture certain games with. West Ham played all claret in that game, or West Ham played in all claret but white socks in that game, and then they go, oh yeah, that's when Noble scored that penalty against Birmingham in that, and then that's when people can kind of make the connections with it by having these sort of different combinations against certain teams. But I'm all for combinations. It makes the kits more playful and more flexible in terms of on a match day by match day basis. Like, yeah, I'm all for it, but. Yeah, I say, and what I hate is that when certain teams, that they have a different colour short, they'll use their away shorts, but it's completely a different design whatsoever, and it just doesn't go. I remember West Ham going up to Man City, and they had their home shirt, which was claret and blue, if it was a Reebok thing. Then they played with navy shorts and claret socks. It was like, that's just so strange. I've never seen West Ham playing navy shorts before, and it just looks so weird and so off. But yeah. But
I think the league have got much stricter since then as well, because we have to have everything submitted to the leagues for approval, Premier League, EFL, and they come back and they say, where are you going to play against in this one, or what about this one? Because they've seen all the other kits as well. And then there's always that myth of get your kits in first and get them approved first, but they still have to be fit for purpose. And, having them shorts that do kind of link up together is always something that's considered at design stage. Yeah. And we always show a rotation. So you have right, so this is A, this is what we would launch as the home, away, and third. Then this is rotation B and C. So this is what the home and the away look like. So
yeah, there's a comment there. I hate the fact we won that trophy, that orange flame monstrosity. As I just said, like it's just so un-West Ham, but it's now part of our history now, isn't it?
I joked with the designer and said, look, of any of the other two kits they would have worn it, then it would have been, a special kit for me. But, it's because he designed it. It's such a magic moment for him because. They've won.
Won a trophy, like, and an unbeaten season as well in that competition. So, yeah, unbelievable. Okay, so what are the biggest challenges in football kit design, particularly dealing with sponsors such as Betway? I mean, what sort of constraints and awkward conversations did you have to undergo when going through this process?
Well, so yeah, Betway's, out of every sponsor in the world, they are the example to use because their brand guidelines literally is the B, sideways again on top and below. So you've got a lot of space there that you can't design within.
Yeah.
Almost like probably a centimetre from the crest down, and then you're going from belly button down. So have you got an image of the actually I've got this as well. This kit.
Oh, there you go.
So the TNA one with the bow bells on there. I designed. So the story behind that kit is, they say that if you can hear the bells, then you're in that area to be a hammer.
Yeah,
that's So, and I loved that. I thought that was fantastic. I thought, what a great connection, a great story. That's the area, isn't it? That's, so to have that story and then take it into a kit. I did the little bell on the back of the neck, so that was like a nice little touch to it. But then having the building and the architecture in there, I did a few examples. Did loads of different versions where it was textured and it was different intricate details, and I redrew the building like almost brick for brick.
Yeah.
So all these little bits. But the biggest problem was as soon as you put that onto a shirt and you got Betway, you'd be breaking it up, so you had to find a way to do it. So the way we got around that was we put these kind of fades over the top to kind of create like a night, the
clouds. I mean,
like a really kind of subtle cloud thing. Yeah, so then you could have them areas go into the Betway and then bring it into the shoulder so it didn't look placed. Because some kits, as we've seen with the two stripe ones, where Betway make them go all like wider and it's not as considered, whereas with that one it was like, right, so you have to always cheat it, like we talked about that the away one where the big aperture in there, the big gap in there, and it was great for the juniors because they didn't have Betway on them, so you could get away with just stripe.
And I think let's say with the constraints that Betway and other sponsorships impose, it's denying us with this sort of kit, isn't it? And that kit to me is probably, that design is probably the most iconic West Ham design ever. If I look at that, that's West Ham all day long. And I think us fans have been kind of neglected in the fact that we don't have a modern version of that kit. I think the last time we had that was when we had Macron and we had SBO bet, but the two stripes were almost like the lower belly. So then you still had that banding in the chest around the sponsorship. And I don't think we've had a decent light blue away kit for many, many years. Like all light blue, not your stripe one, the Argentina one. I mean, that's iconic in itself. But just all blue with the two claret hoops, that's all we want from an away kit. And I think we've been denied by that from the constraints imposed by the sponsorship.
Yeah, and there's been options. There has been that, the full blue kits. Betway always had the restraints for the stripes because of the way the stripes would sit and they say the positioning. You can't have anything at all behind Betway or around it, so your stripes are going to just be too high or too low. But also from a commercial point of view, I think that's why it would be avoided, because having such a full light blue kit looks great on pitch, but then would it sell commercially? And that's another aspect that has, I think, put it off. The one that you just
I
showed
think
me.
that would. I think that would. I think if that occurred and if it was done properly, you know, like I think the best example would be the pony kit with Dagenham motors in it, and
Yes.
where you've got the two hoops and they're clear as day, the hoops, and it's just so iconic. It's perfect. So I think we came close again with Umbro when it was the 125-year kit. But again, you had the stripe up here, you had Betway with its borders, and then you had a lower claret hoop underneath it, and it felt really big, felt oversized for what it was. So it was close, but not close enough. But it would be interesting to see what kind of sponsorship comes in, and if we do get the two hoops, whether there would be that clearance around it or not. And hopefully we can come to a compromise with it that it can just be stuck on top and it won't distract it. But if that happened, I think you'll see a lot of fans would buy a sponsorless shirt anyway because they like that pattern. So
yeah, I was going to say a sponsor shirt, a special one-off shirt, or even if it was a retail piece where it was just a nice retail capsule where it had the two bands in there. I think it is, as you say, it's such an iconic read, and I have. We have had the discussions in the past, and there has been them in the decks, the design decks, where we put them forward. But when Betway is involved, there's just no way you could make it work because of that.
Good riddance, that's what I can say.
It's typical. As soon as Umbro goes over to Castar, they get a sponsor that they can work with and have a bit more fun with. So,
well, talking of your design decks, let's see your work in action. So here we go.
Oh, we did that. That's cool.
So run us through this. I mean, what is that black and white photo there? Where's that come from?
That's the Ironworks. That's the original, the foundations of the Ironworks. So team's Ironworks. So obviously, this kit was when I've talked about those different kind of kits, this one kind of sat in there. You'd wear it with your jeans. It's your smart casual. We're trying to get that kind of the nightlife, the colours of East London popping on the cuff, and trying to bring that into it and have a bit more of a fashion led feel to it, but without it being too overpowering. And then how do you create that kind of graphic? And it was using the original lines from the Ironworks, which sometimes them stories are told at kit launches and stuff, or other times they're not. With this one, it was quite an interesting kit because on pitch I thought it looked really great because as football is a side to side sport, so you did see them pops of the colour on the sleeves. And it was also because
it was also the quality of the shirt as well, because you almost had like this texture of this horizontal banding, which was almost like a nod to the 85-86 season with the pinstripe patternation across the body. So
that fabric in there, which for that seasonal direction, that fabric was one of the core fabrics that we used, and that became the Luton home shirt as well.
Right. Okay.
So again, it shows how you rotate as a brand through the different kits. But with this one being a smaller graphic read and a more of a fabric play, so this is just kind of showing how a few different options in there.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like a pastel version there. You've got like a fade of inks and more like peach color. But the one that was chosen was obviously the top left, wasn't it? And that to me just reminds me of Pablo Fornell's 92nd minute goal against AZ Alkmaar, and which put us into the Conference League final. So that kit, I think, is probably one of the cleanest ones I think that's ever been done, and it had that, like I say, that it really had that pop of colour, like you were saying, in terms of the movement on the pitch, and also that kind of pattern reminds me of my granddad's Mr. Motivator tracksuit bottoms that he used to have. Nice. So every time I looked at that, me and my dad would have this joke like, "Oh, that's granddad's tracksuit bottom shirt, that one." So,
Mr. Motivator, showing your age there.
Talk about this one then.
So for this season, when we tried to look at, another classic read was having that upper shoulder, the stripes, and how we could bring that into a kit. Looking at, obviously, the underground, that kind of circular shape, iconic bubbles, looking at even the map and how that could be, like a real like London celebration in the kit to create these lines. and do it something a little bit different, so that when people watch it and they see that kit on pitch, it just looks like a nod to that past kit. But then when you delve into the story, actually we're celebrating where we're from and who we are, and the capital of England. You know what I mean? So the Bubbles one was, I think, if you've got the full deck, I'll show you we'll get to it at the end. There's a what could have been kit, which is probably, I'd say, with me forever, where trying to get the bubbles in. So this is that kit getting a bit closer to where it ended up.
Yeah.
Bringing the stripes in, looking at the cross hammers within the pattern, looking at the map, looking at those different kind of how to create that, again, talking into seasonal direction with delineation and the line work.
I mean, I like the idea of having the tube lines and stuff running on the shoulder. Like, it just, again, memories of me going to that Upton Park and going from like Dagenham East to Upton Park was always the district line train, and seeing that map on a daily basis every time we used to go to watch a game. And that just, that's a real shame that didn't come off that one in terms of the tube map.
Yeah, and the map's so iconic, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's, even now when we take the kids down to London, we'll always still get a map, and do you know what I mean? We must have hundreds of them right around the place, but it's just an iconic design, to look at. It's so cool, and there's all these different areas, and people travel from all over to go watch their team, so they'll have their own, tube stations on there, and their own way they go to the game, or how their relatives go, or people that they meet. So bringing that together in a kit, I still think there could be something in that. If someone from Castor's watching, you can have that one for free.
Well, it won't be Castor, mate. It will be New Balance, won't it, in the summer or next month? So it'll be interesting to I'll get your thoughts on that at the end. But how do you get your head around this one then? Like, so you took obviously the patination that you've brought together and you've put it into the collar and sleeve details. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the other way of looking at, so if you're not going for a big heavy graphic, do we bring it into the pop, so that bringing it into a neckline, whether it's a print or if it's like a flat knit. We always show these kind of, I call them the dudes. It became like a running thing. But we'll always put these at the end of the deck just to show that kit coming to life a bit more. It has a bit more movement to it, and you can see it head to toe finished. So this was just trying to bring them pops of color. So we know it's the claret, we know it's the blue. Where does that flashes of white come into it? Just to give it another point of difference, and that's trying to then bring the shorts into the white, just have some more white in there.
Yeah, I like that. And again, I can see that working with like claret shorts as well, and you've got that full tonal for an alternative home kit being used away. So yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Just gives it a little bit.
There you go. And there's you're building it up now to that iconic kit that with the Conference League winning kit, home kit. Even.
So that one, I'm not used to it on the screen, but that one.
That's it.
So we got to a stage where the very last submission was solid, which is a lot more true to the original, with the solid stripes on the shoulders.
Yeah,
which is what's on the dude. But then because we wanted something a bit more edgy and street, it almost became this kind of scratched, distressed feel to it over the top of it, which, if I can say it now because it's being undone, I wasn't as keen on. To me, it felt like that was a way or a third read to have a kind of a edgy, cool graphic, whereas your home one, on the dude there running, I feel like having the solid blocks of colour, you've still got the blue in the sleeve, so you still, a good balance of it in there. And obviously, once you've got a sleeve sponsor or a league patch in the gap, I just felt like head to toe there's a good balance between that kit, and it's still nodded to 91, 92 without being too similar.
Yeah.
Whereas, the one that I ended up with, it worked well, and I think on pitch it worked well because it didn't look as in your face, the graphic, because obviously the rotation of the player. But it's always interesting to, sometimes, you go in there and there's a design that you think, I'd love that to be the one, and they get on board straight away and they do, but there's other times where they have a different direction, which is fine. There's never right or wrong in design unless
No, when I first saw that kit, I like the instincts were like, you know, what we got here. But as it got further and further along, it becomes such an iconic home kit for us, and it's so different. And the younger fans seem to really, really take to it. The older fans are a bit more traditionalist. They wanted it. Oh, we just want no pattern. We just want it block, blah blah blah, retro, which is fine. But seeing that, and like we've never had this style of kit like this before, and I think it went down really, really well, really well, probably far too well in the end. So I think good credit to you on that one, because that was probably one of the best kits we've had at the London Stadium, personally.
Thanks very much. Well, I take it back then. I like this one.
Yeah, you get a lot of love. You get a lot of love in the chat, mate. They say like that kit, mate. Well done, Bradley. That's the best one so far. Like you're getting a lot of love on that one, mate. I must admit.
Thanks very much.
And this is the Canio. This is the season before, isn't it? The Europa League campaign. To tell us, obviously, it'd be quite obvious. I hope Zuma's not watching this, by the way, Brad. So obviously, it was quite easy to kind of replicate the Canio shirt, but obviously, this is quite different to the feeder one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this. I've shared this one with you because there's a good story behind this one where, again, that seasonal direction. So before any kit's design, we'll design silhouettes. So we'll look at a different kind of, where those panels are going to be for the season, what necklines we're going to use. Is it going to be a side panel? Is it going to be different, under the arm panel? What we're going to do differently? And for this season, because I don't know if you can hear a cat running around.
Yeah, no, that's why I said Zuma's not watching.
I was going to say, he must have heard you say his name, and that's it. He's on one now.
Zuma, he's gone.
Terrible.
Sorry.
So Zuma came to Everton for a bit. I remember being at
He did. He scored against us. I was at the game. You beat us 2-0, and I think P&R played, and you had an Umbro kit as well with a navy. Yeah, nerd. Go on. Sorry.
Right. So it's no disrespect to any other Umbro clubs in that season, but because we wanted to really get at that kit and look at doing something where we could get that panel into the upper body. It's this one here. This became a silhouette for the season, so we almost designed it with that in mind. And Hearts also went into it.
Hull had it as well. Hull had it as an away kit. If it was purple and orange, I think purple, orange, and black.
So
of it,
which is a great example of how you can then switch it up and between the different clubs to still have that seasonal direction, but make it look different.
Yeah.
But yeah, just straight away, when they say what players it reminds you of, this reminds you of Declan Rice straight away.
Yeah.
This was probably one of my favourites because it was so associated to the Canio kit without being that one. But I just felt on pitch it worked really well because it wasn't a solid sleeve, and because of the nature of the panel going up into the the body and the shoulder, if you like, there was a bit more technical work to this one.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the best remakes of an old kit, from my opinion. Not poo-pooing on your 60-year anniversary on, but I think this one is probably more, like I say, it's more my era in terms of watching West Ham when I was younger, like seeing Di Canio with his scissor kick against Wimbledon and that. But it is slightly different. I mean, the collar's got different because it's a claret collar with white and blue trim, whereas the feeder one's a light blue collar with claret and white trim. And there is some subtle differences there which kind of make it probably a bit more standing out on the pitch. Like obviously we've got the white stripe that's at the front, but you look at the back of the shirt, that white stripe doesn't happen, does it? Whereas Feeder have got the white stripes either side of the blue band, haven't they?
And the honest answer to that is just cost.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough. I was going to give you credit there to try and be something different, but okay, it's cost.
I'll be honest, put an extra couple of panels in it, then that shirt becomes more expensive. And if you've got so many panels on the sleeves, it again talks into that movement and almost becomes a bit too, not heavy, but just a bit too much.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. The kind of friction with it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nightmare shirt to iron. This one for the rail. It's just a nightmare. But
and there's the Argentina kit that he was talking about. Again, I think that resonates very well with the early 90s with the BAC and Dagenham Motors sponsorship that went over the actual stripes. But as we touched on earlier, like Betway being included in it, it broke that pattern up, and it kind of done a disservice to your hard work, really, didn't it?
Oh, nightmare that way. Yeah, again, it was great with the junior one because no sponsor, you could carry on the graphic, and it really. And this talks into when I was saying about the free kits for a season. One's a graphic play, one's a fashion led where Eugene's play, and then one's your traditional home, nice fabrics, nice color blocking, and detail. So you've got those three different. Yeah, I mean, from a brand point of view, it's three different price points as well because you have to be careful of what you're offering because you don't want it to be too expensive to offer to a club. But at the same time, in a retail space in the club shop, you put them next to each other and they've got three totally different stories. And when you touched on your fan bases, and it was great that you said that home shirt previously. A lot of the kids liked it, and that was the direction the club went in to have that texture and the scratch marks on it. And even though I wanted the more traditional solid block version, the club knew, and they were right to do that because the young ones liked it. So that market straight away, it's it's connected to them. So your away or your third one, that's where your colour block one was. So this is one of my favourite kits because when I was looking at the kind of obviously the Di Canio one was such an iconic kit because of that goal and that moment and that player, what a player. And that there were some other great players in that team as well at that era. So with this one also being a kind of a throwback to an older kit, it's tough to do it different and not be like, well, we've just got three kits that are just a nod to the past. But to be able to bring into say about that lineation and that kind of, the seasonal direction of having those lines in there to do it subtle, I thought it worked really well.
It almost had that sort of shimmering effect, didn't it? Like we talked about the movement of the player. It did give that glossy effect, but without putting the gloss fabric in, effectively.
These are some of the samples of that older one.
Yeah.
And what we'd do is we'd print these and we'd literally stand and put them on your shoulder and you get people to take photos of you. And, we'd do it, we'd fold it in half and just see how it would look smaller. And, these little processes that you go through, it's great. And
I'd love to be a part of that. I know I've spoken about this in the past, but I'd love to be involved in that. I really would, especially with my architectural background and doing the drawings, and I'd love to do it. But yeah, next one. Oh, so this is interesting. So you've gone back to the Disney castle at the Bowling. I'm going to get hate of that in the chat, but based on the Bowling castle. So tell us about this graphic and where this led to.
So this is obviously the castle is a big part of the old crest, and such a it's iconic, isn't it, for the ground and I've just had to go through it with us leaving Goodison, where that's home, isn't it? That's tradition. That's where you've gone all your life. That's what you know. Okay, it's great to go into these new modern big stadiums and stuff, but it takes a lot of transition and with this one, I wanted to just, keep the fans in mind and know, let's not forget where we've came from, the gates and the castle and the architecture and have that as because this was for the centenary kit, so 100 years of Umbro. I wanted it also to be a celebration of West Ham as a club and where they've been and not forgetting, not that we ever would do, but with the home kit being such a celebration kit.
Yeah,
this for an away kit or a third kit to have that nod to it was something that I was really wanting to push. But the club didn't want to go in that direction. They wanted to do something a bit more moving forward and modern,
I can imagine that because, like I say, this is what the current uprest is, or with the fan base is that our current ownership are pretty much disregarding this design, this approach, this stadium. This is like nine hammers out of 10 will always refer back to this as being home, and they won't really see London Stadium as being the home. But I could see why they pushed back on this, because it's almost like reminding the heartache of what we left. So, but yeah, interesting. So these were the designs that you implemented onto the graphics of the shirts, and
yeah. So once I like these are just kind of like, so once you get the graphic and you've got an idea of what you want to get at, it's then how does it fit within a shirt? And again, Betway considered trying to have it lower body and wrapping around the shirt, looking at different, bringing the gold into it where the lights hitting the buildings and the architecture. Again, looking at the crest, going back to that, it was on the gates, wasn't it? Such a great crest. I mean, I like like how clean and the crest is now, but sticker books and stuff. That's the crest for me. That was what it always was.
You really get the shiny with that crest on it. It's that's not going in your sticker book. That's going on your textbook at school, isn't it? So
get some boxes in there. Looking at different layouts, looking at different text within it. Within the league, you can't really put club names clear on a kit, so you have to have it tonal. There's just little rules around that.
Yeah.
And then one of the seasonal directions was to have this large V, but then it would go down the back of the shirt. So from like a aerial view, you'd create a full diamond, like the Umbro diamond. So this didn't. They'd used it in Europe and in some other parts of the world in kit direction, but for the UK clubs, it changed direction to be the more diamond grid, which became the white one, which was great. So yeah, it's just interesting to show this and just to say, there's how certain designs are created, and they just don't.
You try to remind the owner or the commercial team at the club to go, look, this still exists. So, and this is what fans want. And yeah, like I say, the old badge, I think there's a big call for it to be brought back and over the GBS, GSB. Might be GBS, I don't know. The current ownership era, that's what that badge kind of relates to. But yeah, so this is going to your Bo Bell's graphic now, isn't it?
Yes. So this is the one where this is where it began. So this is that kit, 24-25. That one.
Yeah, sound of Bo Bell's, that one. The black with the claret trim.
Yeah, so when I first heard the story about, if you can hear the bells, then you are in that kind of encatchment of being a true hammer. I loved it because that's kind of like, it's pride in where you're from, isn't it? And, with every team, you've got their own kind of regions, and that's your home then, and that's where you belong. And I wanted to capture that in this. And the reason why I didn't just have for one, such a big tall building wouldn't sit right on a shirt, because maybe either one side or through the middle. So I wanted to create that whole, if you can hear the bells and the distance of sound. So by having different scales of the graphic to give it depth, and I wanted to show the real detail in it. So you kind of had this kind of repeat pattern. So you do see where it repeats.
Yeah.
You put that into the kit, and then you've got a Betway sponsor. It does slowly take away from it because you have to have that clearance space. You've got another slide. Let's look at that one.
So they're the faint, the bells. Yeah. Again, mate, I can relate to this because this is right up my street in terms of architecture, the drawings and stuff. So
such a stunning building, and these kind of kits, you see a lot of European teams are doing it at the moment, where you've got these really fine, intricate line work and stuff.
Yeah,
they just tell a story and they look so cool and fashionable, and so I wanted to have that. And the reason why the fade starts to appear in there is, one, to see can we place that where the sponsor and the crest would sit, so we're not taking too much away from them, but also to give it again that sound and that distance, so that you do have depth to the graphic. It is the same building, it does have a bit of a how sound's traveling.
And this is the shirt template for different sizes, isn't it? So each line replicates the size of the shirt, going from small to triple XL, right? Is that right?
Yeah, so that's correct. Yeah, so what we would provide is just a pattern list. So then you say small to 4 or 5 XL, And this is what we designed to make sure that the graphic, when it's on a shelf and you've got the smallest one next to the biggest one, it all looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's always been a nice little challenge with striped or hooped kits because you don't want it to have like some have 3 stripes on it, and then others have 5 stripes on it when it's got bigger. So we'll always create these pattern nests to make sure that it'll always be consistent. But this is a good example how that initial graphic has now become this, where we've had to put that fade over the top of it because of Betway. We cheated it. There's areas below the W where it might be quite close and not quite the B around it, but it's still, we still work with the graphic and it created that, like the city at night kind of feel to it. It's a shame because I think all over having the graphic would have been such a more stronger, powerful kit, and then it would have allowed us to focus on more areas.
It's mad, isn't it? Because like it's not like it's a color, isn't it? That's breaking it. It's just a different texture of material, isn't it?
It is a color, so that's over the top of it. So it's one fabric, but where the print is, we're putting I put like a fade bitmap over the top, so the bitmap where the dots kind of where they fade out, so it's less dense. It shows more of the graphic. I don't actually have a bitmap image, but this was a seasonal direction too, where it's in the goodie box over there of my Umbro shirts, but the bitmap was a seasonal direction where we used those dots throughout.
Right.
I don't know if you remember the Werder Bremen one where it was green and white that I did, where it had the big, huge kind of W on the front. But that was a series of the dots. Luton did it on the one that I did for them, where that was a nod to an old past one with the white upper body, but that had the bitmap fade through it. So it all had the same kind of feel to it. So this one, close up, does have that bitmap. So when you look at it close up, it has like little dots.
Right, I see.
That fade. But, again, I like big, strong-looking dark kits and I like head to toe because they say you look more powerful and look bigger on pitch. And I think this one, it is kind of a what could have been, but I still think it worked. But again, the graphic, you don't see it when you're watching it on the telly or when you're in the stands. You only see it when you get close up to it. So,
and there's the kit in full action.
Yeah, there's the head to toe, and then bringing the claret in is obviously just a nod to, the tradition of the home, and when you see them together, it just flows together.
Yeah, so really nice. So this is the centenary graphic that you implemented on all the third kits. So yeah, that's how you can see clearly now. You've got the diamond shape and the graphics. I mean, what was the lines in between? Is that just offsets of the hammers, or was that 10 time works again? Or
it was more focused on the hammer and that kind of offset, like the motion of a hammer and how it kind of vibrates off. But it did have reeds of the ironworks as well, and the same kind of foundations. Right. And this was the last kit we did for the season because, again, another Umbro kind of centenary kit where we wanted that diamond to go for every team. But with West Ham, we did it different because it wasn't a print; it was a fabric play, and that was because we did the print on the away one. So it was nice and subtle, and it was one of them where when it hits the light, you see the different graphic in there. And we'd done the jacquard previously on the 125 kit, wasn't it, the black one?
Yeah,
had the subtle.
The little hammers in there. Yeah. So, and I think there's been quite a few comments of that in the chat that the black and gold 125 years is probably the best away kit of modern West Ham is what I'm reading in the chat. So again, that is personally responsible for that. So thank you for providing such a iconic kit, especially during the tough time, which was COVID, wasn't it? So so that kit was fantastic. That black and gold one.
I claim that one, but I love it. I do love it. I was in there when all the samples came in and looking at different jackards, the different scale of it, and seeing it come together. But yeah, it's such a great kit, such an iconic kit because obviously celebration and the 125, and then it's just subtle, isn't it? It's a really clean, classy way of doing it.
And then you've got all the different views of the white kit with the jacquard on there, and it was a very nice kit. I think that's the first that reminds me of like, I'm going to get shot down in the chat again, but like Max Kilman, like against Crystal Palace, that sort of kit, and also like seeing the crest in full claret with gold detailing on it, like it really pops on that white shirt, doesn't it? Usually you get quite lost within the shirt, don't you?
Yeah, because if you put the blue or the claret crest on there in the traditional colours, it wouldn't sit with the full kit. Whereas I think having the gold pop on it, I think it just gives it a connection to the kit. The focus on this was the fabric and that kind of read, but you can't ever take anything away from the crest because that's who you are, isn't it? You know what I mean? We've not mentioned the sleeve sponsor on any of this season, but
not QuickBooks, no. To be fair, I've met the guys at QuickBooks, and I think they're a lovely bunch, and I think they've really got a good. They do a lot of good things with the club. I must admit, QuickBooks, and just unfortunate that they have to put that green disc on the side, which is awful.
On the home one for that season, they tried it. They could do well where on the launch and stuff, and the photo shoots they did where the players are all kind of facing the other way and you don't really see it. Yeah. But then just me seeing it on pitch, just knowing that if it was claret with white, or if it was, if they just did something. But to get it, that's their brand, and they obviously put a lot into the club to be there. So you got to respect, and sometimes it just makes that kit what it is. That is the sponsor. That's it. And then
what I have noticed is there's a West Ham artist called Cannington Len. So when he does West Ham shirts, and if it's got the shoulder in play with the circle, he tends to recolor it and then put his logo in on the sleeve over the top. So it's almost like a perfect frame for his own promotion sort of stuff. But yeah, it's really clever what he does in terms of that for the paintings he does. But there you go. And there's the white socks that you were talking to there's a Kitman Jambo.
Yeah, there it is. That was the one. So yeah, it's my favourite kit because that story, and because it just feels so West Ham to me. Like that's and even when you see about the sponsor, it just has that real feel and connection to it. Yeah. And even the back, the sign off that I did for the back with the old cup in there and the dates.
The Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah, doing those little personal things that were approved and were on there straight away. It was just a really great kit to work on. People might say, well, it's here we go. This is the kit that never was. This is
this is an exclusive to all West Ham fans here. This is a textured graphic of bubbles that never got used.
So it's a jacquard fabric. So the whole direction for this was, and this was the first ever West Ham home kit I was working on. And what I wanted to do is capture that moment. The players come out, the first time the fans see them, that raw, the bubbles are all flying. It's Match Today always show it, and it's a great moment, and it looks so good. The players there, the bubbles are, flying past the face. And I wanted to capture that on the shirt, so you got the bubbles. And I didn't want to do a cartoon bubble. I didn't want to do a circle where it represents a bubble. I wanted to have that real kind of bubble feel to it. But how could you do it without being too kind of what they had? One of the recent ones.
Because you had the Pony 100-year anniversary where you had the jacquard with the 100 in the bubbles, didn't you? And then that come across quite cartoony, didn't it?
Well, your background on here is similar to that, isn't it? And
yeah.
It was cartoony, but I think it worked because it was in the fabric. It wasn't, it wasn't printed. And obviously the bubbles see-through, so you don't, really see too much of it. It's reflections that create it. So with this one, the first mission was to create a repeat pattern so that it could become a jacquard, so that you could just literally print meters of fabric and then you just cut them up, and then every shirt would be different. So those bubbles would set a different position. And it was just, it was great because when I first started at Umbro, it was one of my first ones. There's a close-up of it, so you do see the texture of the fabric. So it's all just one colour, but because of the different depth of the kind of the knit in the fabric, it creates that effect.
Yeah.
To me, to this day, I just think that would have been such a a cool kit and a special kit, because on pitch you just see the home shirt, the claret and the blue, whereas when he catches the light and the movement, you just see these bubbles appearing. But
it'd just be so cool to, again, like just to have that as well. And then this is what that kit would have been like, right?
Yeah, so then this was how we were going to try and frame it. So the fabric would have the big boulder sleeves, and bringing that, reference to the Canio one where it is on the shoulders and down the arm, but it wouldn't be under the arm, so you'd still have the solid under the arm and then the solid texture on the front. And I think there's a good balance there. And that was my first kit where I tried to sneak in the white socks. It took me
and the club bottled it, and so how close were they in terms of approving this?
No, they bottled it straight away. Yeah, they just it survived through the first round, and I think it was just at that time, I think it was too risky to do something so obvious. Whereas for me, I was like, that is match day. That is what it's about. It's about the first time you see them players walk onto that pitch, that first row, that's what it's about. And I was just trying to capture that. And, the song, everything about it, it's just such an iconic part of the club, so it would have been, it would have been great to see it come to life, but
we did get bubbles, didn't we? You wasn't responsible for that one though, was you?
You were a very good friend of mine, so I can't say too much about it. But
but there was a lot of memes doing the rounds of the ring marks you get on pub tables from pint glasses.
Oh yeah.
Cookie Monster's eyes. I think that was. But yeah, like obviously we come close to having the bubbles, but again, it all feels like the commercial team at West Ham are kind of holding themselves back, and if they were a bit less commercially precious about it, then just thinking about what the fans would want, then maybe we would have had some more iconic sort of kits rather than being constrained by money, sponsorship, and sort of hierarchy preferences, wouldn't it? So
yeah, and I think there's still always room to, you say a couple of seasons ago there was a bubble kit. It did get a lot of feedback. It was what I tried to avoid with that first kit, of a bubble looking too cartoonish. And I didn't remember seeing the comments about, the coffee stains and stuff. And
yeah,
which is a shame, because, on pitch, it does have that read to it, the bubbles, and there is something to it. It's not a bad kit, but I just think knowing, like obviously that jacquard one and the fabric play, how it could be a really subtle way of doing it, and knowing that other options were put forward that could be a bit more, because when you cut bubbles, they're not that big, and there's a lot of, when you first blow bubbles, they come flying out and they scatter everywhere, and I say about match day, the wind captures them and they go all over the place, don't they? So it's just trying to create a bit more movement on the shirt, and randomness, I guess, would be the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all for the randomness, Bradley. That's 100%. But that's West Ham's era with Umbro is now finished. We've got the end of this month, and New Balance from the 1st of July comes into play. So can you based on your experience, can you enlighten our viewers as to why nothing's been released from New Balance yet? Can you basically tell them why? What sort of restrictions are stopping that happening at the moment?
I think commercially there'll still be West Ham still in a contract with Umbro and Costar, so they'll want to see that through. They'll have to see it through. They can't do anything official until that's ended.
Yeah.
From a club point of view, you'd probably want them to have Umbro as much as they can to get rid of any Umbro products in the shop, because and it is a changing brands a massive process, because everything in that club shop, everything in the boards, the branding, everything around the stadium, and it doesn't just go to like on pitch with the kit. Your staff wear, your training wear, your retail pieces. There's a huge overhaul involved in that. So I think it's obviously not the best kept secret that it'll be New Balance. But there'll be a lot of work going on behind the scenes, I should imagine, from the club, and getting all the samples and all the kit and everything in place and getting, ready for the launches. And, because it's exciting when it's a new brand. I think, it's from a personal, it's gutting that it's not going to be Umbro, because obviously I've got a connection and a soft spot for it. And, when I've seen other clubs now, like Hearts, watching Hearts the other day, and I was good for Hearts. They deserved it. But seeing them in Hummel kits just didn't feel, right. I know I'll be the same in West Ham when I see them in a different brand, because it just won't, it just won't feel like West Ham. For a while, it'll take some getting used to. But I think commercially, the club will do something big because it's a new brand, and they'd want that new brand excitement. Where it's a different direction for the home kit, where it does become bringing the blue sleeves back into it, bringing something in it that they can connect. I think that's what they'll do.
It's almost an easy win for them, isn't it? Because of how poorly this season's kits were. It's almost like, well, just put blue sleeves on it, it's a winner. And it just almost feels like, well, it's just an easy job. But hopefully they put a bit more thought into the design of it and whatnot. But again, like, how far in advance would these kits have been signed off before it all comes out? So would you say that the kits were probably signed off in January time or February time or something like that?
I say signed off then, but the process of designing kits a year. You got a full year, because everything takes time, and from that initial meeting to going back working on the amendments, then back and forth to then sample stage. You might design something that looks the best thing you've ever done on screen or on paper, but then when you get it made and you get it on a fit model to look at it, they might be like, it just doesn't sit well on a human, and that 3D rotation. So that process would have took months, and I think they signed off at the beginning of the year and looking at, maybe even earlier, looking at then stock and looking at what that rebrand looks like. And you say it is an easy win to put the blue sleeves on it, and that's what I would do. I would straight away go, all right, what's the feedback from this season? Let's fix that straight away. The West Ham kit should be clear with blue sleeves. And it's how do we then look at other bits that we can do different? What are the necklines? What are the the different paneling, and the something on the side body, and what is that story? It's a new season in the Championship, and I think even though obviously relegation is heartbreaking, it's now you're flipping that into positive, like, right, let's get back. Back where we belong.
I think that's like, from my point of view, obviously with the relegation, like, I think it was inevitable. I mean, when we lost to Wolves 3-0 and Nottingham Forest 2-1 at home, I think everyone was like, yeah, we're down. But I think because we had that bit of hope and then took it to the last day, it almost felt like almost, but it almost feels like going down into the Championship is that at least that kind of general reset the entire club needs. Like I say, we've got hopefully a change of ownership. Hopefully, as I say, we've got a new kit brand coming in. We've got a new sponsor coming into play. So it's going to feel like a very different West Ham in 3 months' time. So hopefully things kind of pick up over the summer in terms of the structure in place, and we get to see a refreshed and reset West Ham, which will kind of lift a lot of weight off everyone's shoulders, really. But in terms of, let's say, with New Balance and with Daniel Kretinsky having ownership in Foot Locker, New Balance are reported to be the second largest stock in Foot Locker in the US. So do you think having that sort of arm into the US market via Foot Locker will benefit West Ham commercially?
100%. I mean, you've got, to me, the best stadium in the capital of England. You've got a massive fan base, a fan base that, is loved in the sense of, some fan bases have got, as football fans, we can say it, there's certain fan bases that you just don't want them to do well because of whether you've got a bit of an attitude or a bit of an arrogance to them. Whereas West Ham fans don't, you know what I mean? They just love the football and love the club, and there's that passion to it. That's one thing that I've always straight away, through working with the club, and even the staff and the people behind the scenes have always been fantastic. So I think having, that as your core base is unbelievable. You know what I mean? You're in the heart of the country, and you've got a massive stadium, and you know, Bowen will stay. He's a he should be at the World Cup. There's players there that you can build that team around, and there's no denying he'll be back. But for the question, the American pull is massive. Obviously working through when I was at Fanatics and working with the American market, it's huge because they wear them over there, not always as fans of the team. They wear it as a fashion piece. They wear it as, like, this is my team and this is who I support back in England, and they'll go off heritage. They'll go off past players. They'll even Lampard. I don't know if you can say it or not, but players that are,
you can say
it. Associated. Di Canio is obviously the iconic one and stuff, but obviously the England World Cup winners and stuff. So I think, the American thing now, and you look at celebrities and how they're, if a celebrity supports a team and you see them wearing the team kit, it's just like, oh, I want to wear it because they're wearing it. And I just think having the American, I think there's something big there. I think it will definitely benefit because it's a whole new market. And
also Ted Lasso, that West Ham would be in heavily part of the Ted Lasso series as well. So it's
is that? I mean, I'm amazed if there's not going to be more crossover there. Do you know what I mean? From a club point of view and from the actual program, there has to be some kind of connection.
I think it's going into like women's football, isn't it? So they're probably steering more towards Man Cities and Arsenal's, or the Chelsea's. I think West Ham are nowhere near being as good a women's team to have that sort of commercial pull from that side. I think, it'd probably be more Arsenal and Man City led. But I think, like I say, even like famous films, like, what's most notably is like, there's been a lot of films on like Netflix where there's been like little nods to West Ham. And I don't know whether that's on purpose or whether West Ham have been involved in the film industry and stuff. Like, you had, what was that film? The Murderers Club or something like that. It was like the Richard Osman thing.
Not too sure. No.
It's on Netflix. It's got Pierce Brosnan in it. It's got Ben Kingsley and stuff like that. But he's wearing a West Ham shirt in the Netflix thing towards the end when he's watching a game of football with his son. It's like, why is he wearing a West Ham shirt? It's just so random. But there's like nods to West Ham in certain TV series and films and stuff of late, which is quite positive in a way in terms of boosting commercial revenue.
I think outside of London, you're probably a lot of people's favourite club down in that area. When you look at the clubs around you, because they say about certain arrogances or personalities, that clubs give off. And I know I text you a few times saying I don't want to say too much on it. But...
No, you can say what you want, mate. No, in terms of Spurs, I mean, and again, I think that's the kind of Spurs I don't get. Spurs I don't get why they're in the Big Six thing. They've just got a fantastic business model. That's it. Other than that, I think they're a bit too bob as a football club, personally. Arsenal, they're going around saying that, we ain't won a trophy in 22 years. We ain't won a Premier League trophy in 22 years. We've never won a Premier League trophy. So it's, you feel for us, if anyone's more deserving of winning a Premier League trophy through terms of fan loyalty, it's us. And hopefully one day we get the right ownership, get back in the Premier League, and actually put the cat amongst the pigeons one day. But I'm not gonna lose sleep over that because something that's very, very hard to achieve in modern day football unless you're Leicester. But I mean, it's exciting times. Like I say, New Balance gives us an opportunity to have a fresh image, probably a slightly different tone of claret, a slightly different tone of blue, and kind of make us be a bit more vibrant. And I mean, it'll be very, very interesting to see what they deliver. I mean, have you had experience with New Balance in the past, or?
No, and I've obviously seen what they've done. I've seen the kits that they produce, and they'll have their own seasonal direction as well. So they'll have their. I mean, look at it from their side. They're coming back into the football market with West Ham. I mean, who are, no disrespect to the other teams, are the biggest team in the Championship now. Automatically going to be favourites to come back up. So for them, that's it's a landmark deal. It's a flagship club to have in the English game again. So, and we know they've had kits in the past with clubs. Some that I don't want to mention. I don't like them. But they've had some good kits, and I think they have their own direction and that push to do something special and different. They'll be looking at your big boys, your Nikes, your Pumas, your Addies. They'll be looking at the market. Macron have got some great kits out there, some really bespoke personal kits.
Yeah. I think Macron has just released a fantastic kit for Bolton Wanderers. Have you seen that?
I don't think I have, no.
So do you remember when Bolton had Reebok and they had the one navy blue sleeve with the red bit, and you got Kevin Nolan, Okocha, Gary Speed? They've remade that. They've remade that like to the T, and it's superb. It's superb, and that kit reminds me of us getting promoted with Zamora, Sheringham, Harewood, Everington, and it was like, I wish West Ham had that kit now. I wish West Ham had Macron sort of thing, because it's just their sort of design ethos, being an Italian brand as well. They were very, very good with that.
Yeah, definitely. And when we said about being bespoke and telling a story within a kit, I like that they do that. I think they are personal, and even though they are an Italian brand, I think they still, don't take anything away from being Italian, and they get into the culture of the British clubs, and they make it personal. They come over and
Crystal Palace, for instance, like what they've done with their kits recently, have been superb.
Kits. Yeah, the one with the crest in it, all the different. It's not easy to do a tonal kit where you've got different shades within it, because, as I said, on screen it could look great, but then when you print it, but that one, just every angle just looked great, didn't it? You just see the eagle coming through different stripes and stuff, and I think, and they're in a club that. I don't know about Everton, but in West Ham are very similar, where we're looking at clubs around us thinking, like, Sunderland have just got into Europe, Villa have just won the European Cup, Palace won the FA Cup not long ago, and they've just won the European Cup, and it's like, these are teams that
just there. Like, what are we going to do? Like, are we just waiting? Like, when are we going to strike when the iron's hot? And try and bring something to that new stadium, right? That's what we've been waiting for, really. I mean, the thing is up with West Ham is that we were told to leave the Bowl Inn, going to this world-class stadium with world-class players, play at the highest level, and we've won a trophy that didn't exist 6 years ago. So it was like, well, we didn't leave the Bowl Inn to go to the London Stadium to win a trophy that's just been fabricated. Like, we come here to compete at the highest level, and we've kind of been sold a pup, really. Hopefully Everton don't fall into that trap in terms of getting into Conference League and seeing it as a success, because really you should be aiming a lot higher. No disrespect to competition, but you should be looking at your FA Cups, your Europa Leagues, getting into Champions League. That's where Everton should be, shouldn't they?
I used to think the same, yeah. I used to think that. I think he's just being knocked out of it that much. I'm like, I'll take the top off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like... You've been moist, mate. You've been moist. You just accepting it now.
I love the man, but at the same time, I'm like, it just has to happen. We just need a, and I've said it every match day. I say we just need a reset button. We just need some change, and I think that's a positive for West Ham. As you say, it's a reset. It's a fresh start. You get rid of players that, contracts come to an end for whatever reason. Cost to the player and stuff, but you've got Jarbo in there. He's an England international. He has to be.
I hope he stays. I mean, there's been talk about him going for 40 million quid, but it's 40 million quid.
In this market, he's worth double that. When you look at the players around him, and he's a young English lad who gets the club. You know what I mean? And I don't think he's. I don't think his dad-in-law will let him leave anyway.
Well, not to Spurs or anyone like that, but he keeps saying, it's his career. He can do what he wants. But I think deep down he's like, you ain't fucking leaving until you get us up.
I want that version of him, the one that we all love. Always like, son.
Last question. So, knowing now that Karren Brady has left the club, and obviously her peers have left with her, what was working with Karren Brady and her team like from a consultant point of view?
So I didn't ever work directly with it. It was more a case of like there was a kind of a ruling in place, and it was like, right, these are the things we should stick to. I said before about the new direction with the all claret and certain things like that. And as a brand, there was never any issues with the club. Like when you went down there, the big thing was Betway, and I know we've talked about that. That was always, well, we want to do this, but we can't because of Betway. Well, can we not just try and put it towards them? No, because Betway, as I say, put a lot of money into the club, and it just wasn't worth the time and the club's efforts to then have to go back to Betway and say, well, we want to do this, because they just knew the answers.
Yeah.
I think other people would have dealt closely with them a lot more and had a lot of other things to say about it. But from, as a brand going down there, and, it was great. You always looked after us. There's always, the commercial people, the media people. Everyone was, retail. The 2 retail staff members were brilliant. And they appreciated your time. They make us welcome, and we go in there and would really be productive. We'd have the presentation on the screen, we'd go for everything. They'd ask questions, they'd point things out, and there was never any kind of, I don't think there's any club that I came away from thinking like that was a nightmare. There'd be times where you'd be like, I've gone in there with 3 designs that I love, but they only wanted 2 of them. Or they'd be like, well, we've got to tweak this and that and do a bit of work to it to get it over the line. But as you mentioned about, there's always a reason. So, from that retail person wanting to sell it, your commercials, wanting to do it on the socials, and can it adapt through a seasonal story for the club? And, a lot of the graphics has been great to see them. I think it was that one, wasn't it, where they used it on like the social media in the background and on all the TV news and stuff. And that's great as well, when you've done something and they take aspects of what you've done and they use it across the different platforms, because it creates that season then, doesn't it? So but I swear that answer, but I didn't really know too much about it I couldn't say anything negative about it. There was always it wouldn't get approved, because everything that we did in that room would have to go to that level for approval anyway. So I think they knew, and they kind of put a structure in place so that what we did do and what we kind of came out with was already kind of set up ready for the approval. We didn't really worry too much about that side of things.
Other than the fact that you had to remind Karren not to have all claret.
That as I say, that's why I love this kit, and I love that story. And it was just seeing it, you see a club differently when you do that, when you go to a training ground and because they're all working, they're all like the first team are all having the brekkie. He's got a job to do. I think he at the time was getting a lot of stuff ready for training, and I just rock up, and he was like, I've got to babysit you for half an hour, what do you want? But he didn't. It was great. It was like, he obviously there's a bit of banter on that, then he was about Everton, but I got the answers that I needed. I told him what I was there for, and he came out with a real good reason. And I think when you can suggest something, you have a reason behind it, I can then take that away and put it to the club, and it worked out really well. So it's good. It's really good.
Decent. Before we finish, mate. Before we finish up. Oh, go on, mate. Go on in.
Favorite Umbro kit in the Umbro era with West Ham.
Oh,
hope you say one. If not,
I must admit, I think the black and gold one, I think that has been superb for me. I think there was that, and for me, buying that in a period where it was, you couldn't go to the games to support the club, but that kit kind of made us connect with it more, and it felt like we were there, and me wearing that at home, watching West Ham 4:00 on a Tuesday, not a Tuesday afternoon, because the world's gone to shit. I think that kit kind of goes down high in my estimations, especially with the players like Souček and Dawson and Ben Rama, Bowen, Lingard played in that kit. I think that kit for me is probably high on my list. But again, I think the Conference League home kit, the graffiti on the shoulders, it's very different, very fresh, very modern. But then I like the traditional side to it, the kit that's over your left shoulder now. That for me reminds me of my dad, because my dad was born in '65, and I bought him that shirt for his 60th. So so it's that kind of connection. So like every kit has got a connection one way or another. But I think the worst Umbro kit has to be this season. Like that's the bottom of the list. Yeah. That's the bottom of the list, only because you didn't work on it.
Yeah, I'll take that. But I think we spoke straight away about that kit.
Yeah. It's just a catastrophe. Like when I saw it, I was so disappointed, and I think you were like, "There's kits there that are there on the shelf that I think Karren Brady just saw it as like, yeah, well, that'll do." Seeing it as an easy win for the future sort of New Balance, really. But from what I heard, from my understanding of it, is that obviously that last season, she was lining up with Nike. And it appeared that deal broke down because they wanted to redesign the badge. And the badge was something that she was very precious about in terms of the rebranding and the whole image of the club. And Nike wanted to change it because they didn't see the commercial value in it. So that deal broke down. So that's why she activated the additional year at Umbro to give her more time to negotiate with someone like New Balance. So it kind of like, you dropped the ball with Nike because you were so stubborn and precious about a certain element of the kit that the fans hate, and then to kind of engineer it. But I think that, again, that's another story. Hopefully she'll openly admit that one day. But it's like getting blood from a stone out of that, unfortunately. But before,
Nike came in and they changed our crest, and it lasted a season. So
they changed the turret, didn't they? And that went down, and then put Everton over it, didn't they?
Yeah.
They do it with Spurs as well. Like when they first got Spurs, they got the cockerel and put it in a shield because the shield shape was commercially better and low cost for them to manufacture the kits. And then they've made the cockerel bigger and got rid of Tottenham Hotspur, so it's just symbolic now rather than a crest. So I get the thought process behind it, but and again, I think if we had Nike, then maybe who knows what sort of crest we would have had. It probably would have been the worst crest we've ever had. So maybe it was. It sounds like I'm giving Karren Brady credit here, and I don't really want to do it.
It'd be interesting. That's definitely another conversation of like, what would it could it be? I think looking at this one straight away, the whole point of that is that you just see the two hammers like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love them on their own, but then I love the castle and the one that I grew up with. So
and the thing with the crest is that the castle represents the home of the bowling ground because it's Anne Boleyn. We're not there no more. So it kind of, there's an argument there to say, well, why should we have the crest on there? That's my dog trying to get in. Why should we have the castle on the crest anymore? And that's always the kind of sensitive part of it. I like, again, the rivet hammers that are used, which we used at the Thames Ironworks site. It's a nice nod putting the TIW on there. But we just hate the word London on it. And historically, we're not a London club. We're a club east of London, and then adapted to be an East London club when the London borough, the Greater London, evolved into a larger London, and then Newham became a new borough in the 50s or 60s. And then that's where we become an East London club because London just grew. And originally we were an Essex club to the east of London. So it's a whole story. If you want West Ham history, go to Nigel Khan, my West Ham FC. He'll bang on it. It'll be great to get you on a tour with Nigel, I must admit, and he could converse about kits and history and a bit of knowledge for you.
Well, the one thing I'm not mentioning, which I was going to mention, is for all the years of me being at Umbro, me and you talking about kits and sharing, different stories and design ideas. There's one person who kept leaking kicks online, and you don't have to give your source away now, but one day you'll have to tell me who he is. Seeing different kits leaked and you'll tell me them.
Yeah, again, we'll never really know who it is and why it is, but let's just say
It's like Banksy. You can never know where he is. Just
Banksy. No,
Is that-
the problem is Umbro have a Singapore shop, don't they?
Mhm.
So a lot of the stuff goes into the Singapore shop first, and apparently there's a West Ham fan that lives in Singapore, visits this shop, and gets the kits because he knows someone in the shop. But that's how the information crosses over. So there's that kind of, I'm grassing this geezer up now. Or woman, I don't know. I don't even know who it is, but I'm just surmising that there's this opportunity there that there's a cut, because obviously Singapore is almost like the test area for feedback, isn't it? Like in terms of getting just public consultation and stuff in a sort of confined space for them to kind of carry on with the commercial thing, like a testing sort of area, isn't it? Because I think Singapore also they're trialing the Premier League streaming app as well. So they're testing that. So when that's all like, yeah, that's fine, there's no bugs, they're going to launch it in the UK, and then that's when you start seeing Sky Sports go straight down the pan, because Premier League will go rogue. But all this sort of stuff happens like in that part of the area. So all I'm saying is Umbro Singapore need to do better if they don't want it to be leaked.
Right, I'm not gonna.
It's you, isn't it? It's you on holiday.
He's close to home. I reckon he's close to home. I reckon it's your neighbour. That's one down the road. It was mad though. The amount of times kits would leak, and I'd be like,
I know.
"Have they done it? Like how? Like
I know you would message me. You go like, "How the fuck have they got that?" And I went, "I don't know, mate. I don't know." And you're like,
"Idea," and he's already designed it. I was like, I hadn't even printed it yet.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. But interestingly, I told you a few ideas, didn't I, in terms of trying to get West Ham kits, and one of them was the Boleyn, or the Boleyn pub, wasn't it? Like the detailing around like her thing. Do you remember that? And then the kit and the colours of it. There's a leak that New Balance's white away kit for West Ham is inspired by the Boleyn pub. So, and I've had no input on that whatsoever.
It's good that, and it's personal, isn't it? The story behind it, and
I went there last Sunday for the last home game, and I'm going around taking pictures of like detailing and stuff. And now I'm thinking in my head, right, how can I mock up a kit with that sort? What detail would they use, and what sort of like I'm going into the toilets to see what sort of tiling they've got on the floor and stuff, and now they've kind of got their inspiration. So I'm trying to get in their head in terms of how to get these mocks put up.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, good to see you.
Got a few funny looks, not gonna lie, but there you go. I was the only ginger taking pictures in the toilets, and I'm the only bloke fully clothed in chinos, and the degrees are like, it's like 35 degrees out in the sun, and I'm fully clothed in trousers and stuff. So yeah, I was getting funny looks left, right, and centre all that day.
There you go.
There you go. But just before we go, Brad, promote your business, because now you're working for yourself, you're doing consultancy. So go shoot away. This is your free opportunity.
Thanks very much. Yes, I've recently took the jump into going alone, not as a sportswear brand, more as just design, working with clubs direct, bringing in white label product, bringing in just a retail offering. So from design through to development, different options for the clubs, taking what I've learned through the times that, O'Neill's, Fanatics, Umbro, and just trying to support clubs on a more personal level, because working with brands has been fantastic, and I've absolutely loved it. I've talked highly about Umbro, like a family, you know what I mean? I absolutely love the brand and place, and I'm actually going back there on Thursday to see everybody and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's it's time now for me to take that jump and take what I've learned and try and support clubs on a different level, because I think when you can go into a club and you can look at the retail offering, and you can, like we spoke about tonight, how do you make it more personal? How do you do things that connect with the fans without having to worry about there's obviously cost involved with everything, but when you can do it on a level of like your t-shirts, your hoodies, these kind of things, you can go in and you can, if I can design it all, develop it all, get it delivered into the club, do the sample, do that full process, sitting working with the retail team, then it is more personal. I feel like it's something that could support a lot of clubs and give them fans more bespoke offerings. And we looked at those designs there of the kits that never wear. They could easily become retail pieces, a summer range, summer t-shirt. You're looking at you talk about the 2 bands on your coaster.
Yeah.
Why not do a t-shirt in that style? I Maiden have done some t-shirts with the club, like footy shirts. Why not do? And that doesn't have to have a sponsor on it. So why not bring in lifestyle t-shirts? Bucket hats. This one's hopefully stays out a bit longer. So these things that are just a bit more personal. And that's what I'm pushing and doing. So.
Yeah, well, I hope you crack it, mate, because like I say, after this chat this evening, you can tell you're fully committed to the cause. You got the experience. You understand it from a footballer's point of view, like a football fan's point of view. Like I say, you're an Evertonian, but you understand what the West Ham way is, which is why the kits have been produced the way with such care and attention. So, full credit to you, mate, and good luck in your endeavours. And hopefully, you get to design a West Ham kit again one day.
That is the mission. Yeah, I'd love that, to be honest. So many ideas, and I bet we have gone. I could probably get away with a lot of
them. Brilliant. All right, then, mate. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you for joining, and thank you for everyone in the chat. It's much appreciated. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and go follow Bradley on his Instagram account. His details are in the chat, and also his website's there, www.behance.net, Bradley Edwards 1. Thank you very much. And we're probably going to have a few weeks off now, obviously, with the off season. Going to go on holiday. Got a World Cup to look forward to. And we'll come back when everything's all up and running during the World Cup. Thanks a lot, everyone. Cheers, and see you next time. Thank you very much.